Good evening. So it seems as though something has led you to the campsite of the Orator. Well, as you can see, I've stoked the fire, which means it's time for you to pull up your chair and settle in, because tonight I have another tale to tell. When a father and son decide to go on a fishing trip together out in the marshes of Monroe County, they think they're going to have some alone time together. They're going to be out, father and son, talking, getting to know one another, deepening their bond. And all of that might have been true, if not for the Bigfoot. But before we begin, if you find yourself enjoying this kind of content, first-hand true accounts of the supernatural, paranormal, things that go bump in the night, then allow the spirits to guide your planchette to both the like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. That way you get notified when I upload new content, which is every single day, shorts all 7 days, and then I do longer videos Monday and Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Second, all of my stories, they are true and first-hand accounts of the supernatural and paranormal, and I am always looking for new stories. I'm going to link today's story below, but if you're anybody has a story that you think would fit well on my channel, just reach out to me, any of my social media, and we'll find a time to collect that story and potentially one day feature it here on The Orator. Next, today is Memorial Day, so I do want to say thank you to all of our combat veterans who perished in battle. A profound thank you and respect for everything that you did, and for those that continue to serve, everything that you do. And lastly, we are 50 subscribers away from closing in on 1,000. I am so excited to hit that goal. There's going to be some giveaways and stuff that we get when we hit that, and so I'm so excited about that. In lieu of today being a holiday, though, today is going to be kind of a hybrid. It's going to be a shorter story, a little bit less editing, but longer than a short. So I hope you guys appreciate this and are excited, and let's dig in. Today's story is a story that I call The Bigfoot at Plum Creek. So Edward is 47 years old, and he's a demolitions expert, and he's lived in Monroe County, Michigan, basically his entire life. He was born and raised there, and he knows the area extremely well. And Edward has a 12-year-old son, and the two of them like to hunt and fish together a lot, and there's actually these marshlands outside of Monroe County, outside of the city proper, but still in the county, that are fantastic for fishing. Now, there are a ton of deer out in that area, but it's actually not, you're not allowed to hunt those deer in there. It's just for viewing, and it's like kind of a natural swamp area. And on the 18th of May, Edward took his son out to go fishing. They were actually doing what's called bow fishing. So how bow fishing works is they're going to walk through the marsh with a literal bow and arrow, and then the arrow is actually tied to like a string. And so what you do is you draw, you fire, you hit the fish, and then the bow actually has like a little section where you reel the fish back in. And so they're going to walk through these marshlands and try to hunt fish with the bow and arrow. And so how it works is they park, and then they start walking into the marshlands. And when you walk into these marshlands, kind of how it works is you're walking along this creek, Plum Creek, and then there are these 4 railroad track bridges that you have to cross in order to get where you're going. And so Edward and his son, they venture out into the area. They start crossing these bridges one by one, and then at some point when they kind of get into the marsh proper, they also have their dog with them. And between the dog and the son and Edward walking through the marshes, they scare something up. They can't see what it is. It's a little bit too thick, but whatever it is, it literally like shifts the trees, and it kind of shakes everything, and it really kind of spooks them out. Like, they think it would have to be almost a whole herd of deer that they had somehow come upon and spooked. But then if there was a whole herd of deer, they'd be able to hear them and see them running through this marsh area, and they can't. It's like whatever it was big enough to disturb that area, but they couldn't see it. And so after, this settles down, they just continue on into the marsh. And for a while, they're enjoying the wildlife, and they're going fishing, and they don't end up getting anything that day. And so they turn around, and they start to head back the other way. And they cross the first of the 4 bridges on their way back to their truck. And as soon as they cross and get to the other side of that bridge, Edward's son hears what sounds like sirens off in the distance, either an ambulance or maybe a fire truck, police officer, something like that. And so Edward, he pulls out his phone and he's got some earbuds, and he actually has an app on his phone. It's kind of like a police scanner app where he can listen in and hear what's going on in the county around him. And he pulls out his phone and he's about to put in his earbuds to do exactly that, listen to what's going on, when suddenly, just off to their left, something drops out of this tree. It was about 10 feet up in the air, and they hear it slam into the ground. And then they turn and they see something advancing on them. It's only a few feet away and it's moving toward them, and they can't tell exactly what it is, only that it's big and it's moving towards them. But before it takes more than 2 or 3 steps, Edward's dog flips out. It jumps up and takes off after whatever this thing is, and it's running after this creature. And the creature, it holds its ground for a second, but as soon as the dog gets up to it, it turns and flees through the forest. And it goes down this little ravine and up this embankment. And this is the first time that Edward and his son get a good look at this thing. And his son, he says, "Holy shit, what is that?" And Edward, even though his 12-year-old son is just sworn, he is in total shock and doesn't care because they're looking at something they can't even really explain. This thing is crouched over, and it's at least 6 feet tall crouched over. It's probably more like 8 feet tall standing straight up. It looks almost like it could be a bear. Like, it is furry and really tall and really big, but instead of running on all fours up this hill, it's on 2 legs running, and it doesn't look like a bear. Like, the anatomy of this thing looks human-esque, humanoid. It does not look like a bear. And first of all, there's no bears as far south in Michigan, and also, Edward, he's an avid hunter. He knows what a bear looks like. This is not the bear. This is not a bear. And it literally, on 2 legs, runs up the hill and then disappears over the top of the hill. And Edward, he calls his dog back in, and then they're just standing there wondering what they just saw. And Edward and his son, they sit and they talk for a little bit about, comparing the stories, and they both agree. Whatever they saw, they don't know any other explanation for it except to say that it was a Bigfoot. It looked just like what a Bigfoot would look like. It's just as tall, just as hairy. It was about to advance on them. The size and how scary this thing was, they didn't even know what to do. And so they eventually leave, and they end up telling the story to some people. And, like I said, Edward, he's almost 50 years old. He's been in the community his whole life. He does not just come up with these stories. He's a very credible, reasonable person. And here we are. Edward he's like a week later, and Edward's like talking about him and his son and their adventure out into the woods where they just wanted to do some bow fishing. And instead, they encountered what they can only describe as a Bigfoot. And so that's going to do it for today's story. If you found yourself enjoying this or any of the stories on my channel, first-hand true accounts of the supernatural, paranormal, things that go bump in the night, then allow the spirits to guide your planchette to both the like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell. That way you get notified when I upload new content, which is every single day. Shorts all 7 days, and then I do longer videos Monday and Friday at 8 p.m. Second, I'm always looking for new stories, so if you or anybody you know has a story that you think would fit well on my channel, just reach out to me on my social media, and we'll find time to collect your story and potentially one day feature it here on The Orator. And so until next time, where you may pull up your chair, fire will be stoked, and I will have another tale to tell.